So good afternoon. So what are the bones taught till now? So I'll be teaching the last topic in the bones of upper limb, which is skeleton of hand. Okay. Can anyone tell what are the bones present in the hand? How many carpal are there? 8 carpal. So what are the bones? Carpal bones. Carpal bones are arranged in 2 rows. Okay. One is the proximal row and this is the distal row. So what are the bones present in proximal row? This is scaphoid. This is lunate. This is triquetrum, this is pisiform. Okay, so this will make the proximal row. You know proximal, distal? Yes. Okay, and in distal row, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate and hamate. Okay, so this is the scaphoid bone, lunate, triquetral, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate and hamate. Okay, which one is the lateral side and which one is the medial side? This one? Lateral. This one? Medial. So here you can see again, this is what, proximal or distal row? Proximal. This bone? This one? This one? No. This one? No, pisiform is this one. Triquetral, pisiform. This one? Trapezium. This one? This? And this one? Hamate. Okay? This is the palmar surface and this is the dorsal surface. See, this is the palmar surface and this one is the dorsal surface. So you can take down notes. Of this bone is, what is the name of this bone? Yes, what is the shape of this bone? No, it's boat shaped. Okay, okay. So here you can see this is the scaphoid bone. In its proximal side it is having a articular facet for articulation with, what is this bone? Radius, because laterally, okay, from lateral to medial we name the carpal bones. Okay, and medially it is articulating with lunate, laterally trapezium. Okay, and scaphoid also has a tubercle in its distal part. Okay, this is the tubercle of the scaphoid. Okay, now what is this bone? Lunate. Okay, what is the shape of this bone? Lunar means crescent shape. Okay, laterally it is articulating with scaphoid bone, medially with triquetral. Okay, distally with, what is this bone? Capitate. Okay, now triquetrum. Triquetrum is roughly cuboidal in shape. Okay, and on its palmar surface it is having a facet to articulate with this bone. What is this bone? Pisiform. Okay, and distally it is articulating with hamate and laterally lunate. Okay, these all carpal bones are interconnected with each other. Okay, now this is what? Trapezium. This is the tubercle of trapezium. This is the tubercle of trapezium. Okay, and it is having a groove medially. This is the groove of the trapezium which is present medially. See, here is the groove. Okay, and medially it is articulating with trapezoid and distally with, what is this bone? First metacarpal. Okay, now trapezoid. Medially it is articulating with capitate, laterally with trapezium and distally with second metacarpal. What is the shape of trapezoid? Shoe. It's just like a shoe. This is the trapezoid. Okay. Now this is capitate bone. This is the largest carpal bone. Pisiform is the smallest carpal bone and capitate is the largest carpal bone. Okay. Now it has a head and a triangular base. Okay. Now head is present proximally or distally? Proximally. And this is the base which is present distally. Okay. Now medially it is articulating with hamate and laterally with? Okay. And this is trapezoid. Okay. Laterally with trapezoid and distally with third metacarpal. This bone is hamate. This is the hook of hamate. Okay. This one is the hook of hamate. Okay. Now it is articulating medially with, what is this bone? Triquetrum. Laterally with and distally with fourth and fifth metacarpal. Okay. Now can anyone tell what are the carpal bone present in proximal row? Last from last. Can you tell? What are the carpal bones present in proximal row? This is scaphoid. This is lunate. This is, you got it? Sit down. Now there is an important relation with the hook of hamate. Okay, if this bone gets fractured, this hamate bone, then it will disrupt the arterial supply of which artery? Ulnar artery and ulnar nerve. Okay, so this is the clinical correlation of hamate bone. Which artery will get disrupted? Which nerve? Ulnar. Now pisiform. Okay. Now what are the peculiarities of pisiform bone? So anyone knows what is the meaning of sesamoid bone?
Origin from tendon.
Yes, origin from tendon. Now what are the peculiarities of pisiform bone? It originates from which tendon? Flexor carpi ulnaris. Okay. And it lacks periosteum. What is periosteum? Covering of bone. Okay. Now it does not, you can see here, this is what joint? What is this joint? This joint? Wrist joint. Which carpals are taking part in the formation of this joint? Which carpal bones? Proximal. Is pisiform taking part? No. So the carpal bones present in the proximal part will take part in the formation of wrist bone except pisiform bone. And pisiform bone is the last bone to ossify. It ossifies in 10 to 12 years. Okay. And as I have told, triquetrum on its palmar surface has a facet for pisiform bone. And pisiform bone on the dorsal surface has a facet for, what is this bone? Triquetrum. Okay. Now ossification of carpal bones. Okay, these are the carpal bones, how it ossifies. So each carpal bone ossifies from one center. Which is the first bone to ossify? Capitate in second month. Okay, hamate in third month, triquetral in third year, lunate in fourth year, scaphoid, trapezium, trapezoid, this all in fourth to fifth year. And as I said, pisiform is the last bone to ossify, so it ossifies between 10 to 12th year. Okay, so which is the last bone to ossify? Pisiform. Okay, age 12 years. Clear? Now metacarpals, which these are metacarpals. How many metacarpals do you have? 5. So which is the first metacarpal, this one or this one? Thumb side. Okay, so we start numbering from thumb side. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, so it has a head and a base. So head is present proximally or distally? Distally. Okay, and this is the base which is present proximally. So it is triangular in cross section, means if we cut the bone, it will be triangular in cross section. Okay, so it has a head, shaft and a base. Clear? See, these are the metacarpal, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. It has a head, it has a base. Head articulates with What are this bone? Phalanx, proximal phalanx. And base articulates with this bones, okay, carpal bones. Clear? Now, first metacarpal. So you can see the first metacarpal is relatively thicker and short than rest of the metacarpals, okay, and it is also very mobile, okay, and it is separated by a larger distance from the other metacarpals, okay. Now, first metacarpal distally articulates with trapezium. So it is having a facet for articulation with trapezium. Now this is the second metacarpal. It has a groove. You can see the groove here, like this, a groove. It has a groove. This is how you identify the second metacarpal. Okay. So second metacarpal will articulate with trapezoid. Okay. And this one is phalanx. Now this is the third metacarpal. It has a styloid process here. You can see the styloid process on the dorsal surface and lateral surface here. This is the styloid process, okay? This one. So it is articulating with which bone? Proximally capitate. This is the fourth metacarpal. This is articulating with hamate, and this is also fifth metacarpal articulating with hamate proximally. Clear? Now, ossification of metacarpals. So, do you know what is ossification? What do you mean by ossification? Formation of bones from cartilage. Okay. Now, what is primary ossification center and what is secondary ossification center? Afterward. Okay. So, in case of metacarpals, the primary ossification center will appear in shaft of the metacarpals, okay, and it will appear by 9th week of intrauterine life. As she said, it appears prenatally, okay. Now the first metacarpal is different from rest of the metacarpal, okay. In case of first metacarpal, the secondary center will first appear in the distal part, means base. Okay, it will first appear in the base, and that appears in second to third year, and then unites with the shaft by 16 years. Means base means this one, proximal. Okay. And in case of other metacarpal, the secondary center will appear in the head. So in case of first metacarpal, where the secondary center will appear? Base. First metacarpal, secondary center will first appear in the base, and rest of the metacarpal, secondary center will appear in secondary ossification center, head. Okay, see, the first metacarpal has a secondary center for the base that appears in second to third year and unites with the shaft by 16 years. And the other metacarpal bones have secondary center in the heads that appear by 2 years of age and unite with the shaft between 16 to 18 years. Okay, the primary center will appear in the shaft. Clear? Understood? Now phalanges. So how many phalanges do you have?
40.
Okay, so this is the proximal. This is middle. This is distal. How many phalanges does thumb have? 2. This is distal. Okay, no middle phalanx. Clear? Now you can see proximal phalanx, middle phalanx and distal phalanx. So each of these phalanx has 3 parts: head, shaft and base. Clear? Now you can see the base has, what is the shape of this surface? Concave or convex? Concave. Okay, so it is articulating with metacarpal bone, and the head is pulley shaped. Okay. Now you can see here, what is this? What is the shape of this again? Concave. It is articulating with the convexities of the head of proximal phalanx. Clear? And it is also, the head of the middle phalanx is also pulley shaped. Clear? And the head of distal phalanx is irregular in shape. So, what are the types of phalanx I have told? What are the parts? Proximal, distal. And in case of thumb? Distal. Okay? Now ossification of phalanges. So each phalanx again has a primary center which will appear in the shaft, okay, and a secondary center for its proximal end. Now the primary center appears first in the distal phalanges and then in the proximal one and lastly in the middle phalanx, okay, 8th, 10th and 12th week respectively. Clear? And the secondary center will appear first in proximal phalanx, later in the middle and distal phalanges. And this will unite with the shaft by 16 to 18 years. Understood? Now attachment on the skeleton of hand. What are the muscles which are attached? Now can anyone tell in our palm which one is the thinner eminence and which one is the hypothinner eminence? Do you know? This is thinner, yes, and this is hypothinner, okay? See, this is a thinner, this is hypothinner. Thinner is towards which part? Thumb, okay, and hypothinner towards this. Clear? Now what are the thinner muscles? Flexor pollicis brevis, abductor pollicis brevis and opponens pollicis and adductor pollicis. So these are the muscles of thinner eminence. What are the muscles? Okay. Now the thumb is also known as pollicis. That's why all the name of the muscles have pollicis. Okay, flexor pollicis, abductor pollicis, opponens pollicis and adductor pollicis. Flexor pollicis brevis and adductor pollicis has two heads. Okay, flexor will have a superficial head and deep head, and adductor pollicis will have oblique head and transverse head. Now all the thinner muscles are supplied by which nerve? Median nerve, except adductor pollicis, okay, which will be supplied by ulnar nerve. So can anyone tell what are the muscles of thinner eminence? Now origin and insertion. Okay, so what does the pink color represents? No, what does in general what does the pink color represents in this picture? Someone has told the answer. Origin, and blue insertion. So you can see abductor pollicis brevis, this muscle is originating from what are it is originating from two bones. What are these bones? This bone and this bone? Scaphoid and trapezium. Yes. Opponens pollicis is originating from which bone? Trapezium. Abductor pollicis longus is getting inserted in first metacarpal base. Okay. Flexor pollicis brevis from? Okay. So in this picture you can see the origin and insertion of the muscles. Okay. So this is the adductor pollicis inserting in base of proximal phalanx. Clear? This is flexor pollicis brevis in flexor pollicis longus in distal phalanx. So what I told, muscles of thinner eminence supplied by median nerve. Adductor pollicis supplied by ulnar nerve. So you can see abductor pollicis brevis from tubercle of scaphoid and proximal part of tubercle of trapezium and getting inserted in lateral side of base of proximal phalanx of thumb. Are you getting which part they are talking about? Okay. Opponens pollicis brevis from the middle of the tubercle of trapezium. It is originating and inserting in lateral part of palmar surface of shaft of first metacarpal. If you see the picture again, you will understand. Okay. Now flexor pollicis brevis, as I told, it is having two heads, superficial head and deep head. Superficial head is originating from distal part of tubercle of trapezium and deep head is originating from trapezoid and capital. And lateral side of inserted in the lateral side of base of proximal phalanx of thumb. Adductor pollicis supplied by ulnar nerve. So as I again told, it has two heads, oblique head and transverse head. oblique head from base of second and third metacarpus and capitate, and transverse head from distal 2/3 of ridge separating the middle and lateral surfaces of third metacarpal, and getting inserted in medial side of base of proximal phalanx of thumb. Okay, now this first metacarpal is also having a ridge here which is separating it into lateral surface and a medial surface. Okay, now hypothenar. Hypothenar is which region? Yes. Okay, so what are the muscles in hypothenar region? Flexor digiti minimi brevis, abductor digiti minimi, opponens digiti minimi. So these are, what are the muscles? Can you remember what are the muscles of thenar eminence? No, thenar eminence I said. Yes, tail. Adductor pollicis. Okay, okay. Now hypothenar muscles are supplied by ulnar nerve. Okay. So these are the hypothenar muscles here. Abductor digiti minimi from which bone? Pisiform. Flexor digiti minimi from hamate. Opponens digiti minimi from hamate. Clear? Opponens digiti minimi getting inserted in fifth metacarpal. Okay. Flexor digiti minimi and abductor digiti minimi inserted in proximal phalanx. Okay. So you can see flexor digiti minimi originating from hook of hamate and getting inserted in medial side of base of proximal phalanx of little finger. Similarly, abductor digiti minimi from medial and distal part of pisiform and getting inserted in medial side of base of proximal phalanx of little finger. Okay. Opponens digiti minimi from hook of hamate and inserted in medial surface of fifth metacarpal. Clear? So what are the these muscles are supplied by which nerve? Ulnar nerve. Clear? So now interosseous muscle. There are two types of interosseous muscle, palmar and dorsal. Clear? Now you can see these are the palmar. So we start numbering from lateral side. Okay. So this is the first, second, third and fourth. So how many are there? 4. Okay. So this is unipennate, means leaf like the arrangement. Okay. See, this is unipennate and this is bipennate. Okay. So can you tell me the name of the bone from which these muscles are originating? From what is the name of these bones? Metacarpals. From one metacarpal they are originating and they are getting inserted in dorsal digital expansion. What is dorsal digital expansion? The extensor tendon get expanded and these are present dorsal to metacarpophalangeal joint and first phalanx. Okay, proximal phalanx. So yes, so what is the function of this palmar interosseous muscle? Adduction. How will you remember it? Both palmar and dorsal interosseous muscle. PAD-DAB. P-A-D-D-A-B. P for palmar, A-D for adduction. Okay, D for dorsal and A-B for abduction. Okay. So nerve supply is by D branch of ulnar nerve. Clear? So dorsal interosseous muscles are 4 in number, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are bipennate. So originating from, what is the origin of these muscles? Metacarpal, from adjacent sides of this both metacarpal. Okay, so as you can see, it is originating from first and second adjacent sides. This is from second and third, third and fourth, fourth and fifth. Clear? It is also supplied by D branch of ulnar nerve and function, as I said, abduction. Okay, and inserted similarly in the dorsal digital expansion. So can you tell me the differentiating features, anyone? Palmar and dorsal. So both are 4 in number. Palmar is unipennate, dorsal is bipennate. Both are supplied by ulnar nerve. Function of palmar interosseous? Adduction. Dorsal? Abduction. Okay. Origin from? Palmar origin from? One metacarpal. One side of the metacarpal. And dorsal origin from? Adjacent sides of both metacarpals. Clear? And insertion in? Now what is dorsal digital expansion? The extensor tendons get expanded, expansion, no, the name. So it is present dorsal to which joint? Metacarpopharyngeal joint and proximal phalanx. Now lumbricals. So these are also 4 in number. So again we start numbering from lateral side. This is first, second, third and fourth. Now first 2 and third and fourth. Okay, first 2 are having similar features, third and fourth are having similar features. First 2 are unipennate, these 2 are bipennate. Clear? Now this takes origin from the tendon of flexor digitorum profundus. Okay, and their function is flexion at the metacarpophalangeal joint and extension at interphalangeal joint. This is the metacarpophalangeal joint. This is the metacarpophalangeal joint and this is the interphalangeal joint. So flexion at metacarpophalangeal joint and extension at interphalangeal joint. Clear? Nerve supply, first 2 is by the median nerve and third and fourth is by the ulnar nerve. Clear? Now, okay, so can you tell me what are the thinner muscles supplied by except adductor pollice? Median nerve. Adductor pollice supplied by? Ulnar nerve. Hypothenor muscles supplied by? Ulnar nerve. Palmar and dorsal interosseous muscle? Ulnar nerve. This first and second lumbricals? Median nerve. Third and fourth? Ulnar nerve. Clear? First lumbrical. So can you tell me from where it is originating? What is this finger? Index finger. Okay. So this is the lateral side or medial side? Lateral. What is the name of the tendon from which it is originating? Flexor digitorum profundus. So it is originating from lateral side of flexor digitorum profundus of index finger. See. Lateral side of tendon of flexor digitorum profundus of index finger, okay, and it is getting inserted in lateral side of dorsal digital expansion of index finger, okay. Similarly for the second metacarpal originating from lateral side of which tendon? What is the name of the tendon? Yes, flexor digitorum profundus. Okay, and this is what finger? Middle finger. So lateral side of the tendon of the middle finger. Okay, and similarly getting inserted in dorsal digital expansion of this finger. Now third and fourth, as I said, third and fourth are bipennate. So it is originating from adjacent sides of profundus tendon of middle and ring finger. See, bipennate. So both sides it will be there. So middle and adjacent sides of middle and ring finger. Okay, so do you remember the name of the tendon? What is the name of the tendon? Profundus. Now anyone can tell me what is the meaning of carpal tunnel syndrome? So this is what surface? Dorsal. So dorsal, medial and lateral surface is in the shape of a convex. Okay, and the palmar surface is concave. So flexor retinaculum passes over it. So if it is forming a concave shape and flexor retinaculum passes over it, so it is converted into a tunnel. And which nerve passes inside the tunnel? Median nerve. So any changes which will increase the pressure of this tunnel will compress which nerve? Median nerve. So it is carpal tunnel syndrome. Like arthritic changes or anterior dislocation of lunate bone, this can cause carpal tunnel syndrome. Okay. Now what is avascular necrosis of scaphoid? What do you mean by avascular necrosis? The bone will die. Okay, so among the carpal bones, scaphoid is the most common bone to get fractured. When can it get fractured? Suppose we fall on our outstretched hand like this, so the scaphoid bone can get fractured. So which is the most common part of scaphoid bone to get fractured? Waist, this part. Okay, so blood supply in scaphoid runs from distal part to proximal part. Like blood supply will go from distal to proximal. So proximal part will have lesser blood supply relatively. So whenever any fracture occurs through the waist of the scaphoid, that blood supply will be disrupted. So what will happen? The proximal part will undergo necrosis. So that is why it is known as avascular necrosis of scaphoid. Everyone got it, or should I explain again? You have got? Okay. So whenever there is, how will you clinically diagnose scaphoid fracture? Where there will be tenderness?
Swelling, redness.
Okay, so there will be tenderness in this part. This is known as anatomical snuff box. Okay, it will be shown in your dissection class. Anatomical snuff box. There will be, if any patient of scaphoid fracture comes to you and you find tenderness in this, what is the difference between pain and tenderness? Patient will complain about pain and doctor will tell tenderness. Okay. So, what is the boundary of this anatomical snuff box? So laterally it will be bounded by abductor pollicis longus and medially extensor pollicis brevis. Okay, and its roof will contain superficial branch of radial nerve and cephalic vein. Clear? So we'll get tenderness at that point. Now, can anyone tell what is Dupuytren's ischemic contracture? Have you seen Palmar aponeurosis? Okay, we'll see it in a dissection hall. Okay, what is Palmar aponeurosis? What is aponeurosis? Can anyone tell? Deep fascia. It's a modification of deep fascia. You have seen deep fascia in dissection hall? Achha, okay. So it's a modification of deep fascia. So what happened in this condition? This Palmar aponeurosis will get thickened fibrosed. Okay. So so what will happen? This condition, it will mainly affect the ring finger and little finger. So this will remain flexed. Okay. So what is this? Thickening fibrosis of Palmar aponeurosis. And what is mallet finger? The extensor tendon, some of the lateral fibers of extensor tendon which will be attached to this phalanx will get torn. So what happened? The person will not be able to extend. See, the person is not able to extend this part. So it will remain flexed. So this is known as mallet finger. Clear? So everyone got? Can you tell me the again how many carpal bones are there? 8. What are the carpal bones in proximal row? Last bench, are you getting? Okay. What are the carpal bones in distal row? How many metacarpals? 5. What are the parts of metacarpals? Okay. Okay, and phalanges, in the thumb, how many phalanges are there? 2. And rest of them? 3. What are they? What are the names? Proximal, middle and distal. Okay. Okay. So, what are the bones, carpal bones taking part in the formation of wrist joint?
Except pisiform.
Proximal, in the proximal, okay. So, can you anyone tell from which tendon pisiform develops? Which tendon pisiform develops? Flexor carpi ulnaris, pisiform. Okay. So, which is the largest carpal bone? Capital. Smallest one? Clear? Okay. So, then can you tell me which is the thinner eminence and which is the hypothinner eminence? No. Thinner is this one. Muscles of thinner region. Okay. Nerve supply. Median. Adductor pollicis by ulnar nerve. Hypothenor muscles. What? How many hypothenor muscles? What are the names? Opponens digiti minimi and abductor digiti minimi. So, how many interosseous muscle? I mean, what are the types? Palmar and dorsal. Nerve supply? Ulnar nerve. Origin from? No. It's of lumbricals. Now I'm asking interosseous muscle. So, which bone? Metacarpus. Insertion in? Function of palmar interosseous muscle? I've given the mnemonic. No, what was the mnemonic? Adduction, okay? And dorsal? Abduction. And lumbricals? First and second supplied by? Median. Third and fourth? Ulnar. First and second is unipennate or bipennate? Third and fourth? Tendon from which it is originating? Profundus, okay? Done. Function? Flexion at which joint? What is this joint? This one. Metacarpo. What is this bone? Phalangeal. Metacarpophalangeal joint and extension at interphalangeal joint. Okay.